What's up, everybody? And this is the Thunder Channel. On nootropics, on testosterone, on peptides, on using nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and everything else in between within reason to make us feel, perform, and function awesomely. I am your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the bell to get notified of all the content I'm pushing out. If you get the YouTube app, it will notify you in real time of new content that comes out of this channel and live streams. We just did one 2 days ago. We are live for going on 9 years because of products, but the good thing is they're ours. I'll explain them later, but just as an introduction, we have two nootropic stacks. Number one, the Cortex stack. Number two, the Torque stack. You can find them in the description on this video or at livecortex.com. And then lastly, consulting services. I've helped many men achieve significant brain performance, good energy, full-on nootropic regimens, and everything in between. You can book a call with me at livecortex.com. All right, friends. So let's talk about how I'm able to induce 8 hours of energy with nootropics. This is going to be a very cut and dry video of strategy, so pay attention. Be sure to take notes. I will do my best to put an actual visual text representation of all the stacks that I'm taking and exactly what I'm doing so that you can program it into your brain. All right, so right off the bat, before we get into the stacks, I will say two major things, which I think is really important for me to have sustainable 8-hour energy throughout the day. I mean, that's kind of like the time period in which I get a lot done. And that is, number one, my baseline is good, and number two, my testosterone is perfect for me. Baseline is good and my testosterone is perfect. Now, the things that go into baseline, it's actually very complex and nuanced, so I won't go into that, but everything from supplement regimen to the types of food I eat in the morning after the gym, to the amount of food I eat, to my macro and micro breakdown, to the amount of sleep that I get, etc. So that being said, I will bring you to my first example stack. There are many different stacks that I cycle between, but I'll give you a good example stack of my morning nootropic regimen, which gets me just about 4 hours to get things done. The morning for me is a very busy time. I'm up at 5:45, at the gym at 6:10. I'm home, I run some errands, and then I hit, then I get to work. So I'm going to give you one of my stacks that I take that just gives me a significant amount of energy up to 4 hours in that first part of the day, and that stack is the following. It's 150 milligrams of teocrine, 400 milligrams of acetyl L-carnitine, 50 milligrams of uridine monophosphate, 50 milligrams of CDP choline, and 400 milligrams of aniracetam. Now, if you look at the stack, it's got a lot of things going on. You know, the predominant driving force for the energy is the teocrine. That's a caffeine analog, which lasts longer and gives you less jitters with the equal amount or greater amount of stimulation, which is actually very cool. It's a potent neurological anti-inflammatory and fosters some degree of dopamine release. So you will release more dopamine and put more dopamine into circulation with teocrine in your system, which is really fucking cool. Alcar, acetyl L-carnitine, that is a mitochondrial optimization, acetylcholine donating nootropic chemical, which for most folks, if the dose is right, for me, 400 is like the perfect dose for me. It will turn on energy and give you that sort of long-lasting cognitive reserves. In addition to choline acetyltransferase being sort of separated from the Alcar and donated to the production of acetylcholine, then have more synthesis of a very critical energy and focus and processing speed enhancing neurotransmitter, which is acetylcholine. Uridine, well, that's a very multifaceted super nootropic, which is fostering a little bit of dopamine release, aiding in the process of neurogenesis, aiding in general brain energy, and also increasing phosphatide synthesis, and specifically phosphatidylcholine, which is a very important chemical, neurological chemical, to have functioning at peak levels. And then, of course, I've got, a very basic racetam stack in there. I've got a 400 milligram dose of aniracetam that's working on memory and processing speed and stimulation, mainly via cholinergic release. And then I've got some citicholine as a good, stable choline source, low dosed, which is fostering some dopamine release, fostering some noradrenaline release, which helps in the whole energy process and is giving me a little more brain available acetylcholine. So that's my first stack. Okay, that's just one example. Now, again, there are many stacks that I may take throughout the day. It's always good to determine a bunch of stacks, formulate them, adjust them, and perfect them that work really well for you. And if you want to learn more about how to do that, you should watch the Nootropics God course. And you get that at livecortex.com. Usually after 4 hours of work, I want to take a break, and I usually do. And that may be me going and driving in Pittsburgh or hitting up one of my favorite restaurants and having a drink and chilling out or going on a walk or whatever. Second part of the day. So for an additional 4 hours, there are a number of strategies that I execute nootropic-wise, and I'm going to give you a couple of them. The first one is one stack, and it is the torque stack. I was taking everything in the torque stack before we actually launched this as a commercial nootropic stack. It is a very high potent nootropic stack. You can find it at livecortex.com. It has teacrine, alcar, theobromine, cytidine 5-diphosphylcholine, as well as a hefty dose of mucuna in it. Secondarily, sometimes instead of taking torque, I just take one singular compound, and that is modafinil. And if I'm going to do that for the second part of the day, I must get it in around noon or before noon so that it doesn't disrupt my sleep. And if I'm looking to establish 4 to 8 hours additionally, like if I have a long day of work, but certainly to cover this 4 hours, I'm dosing 75 to 100 milligrams of modafinil. I do that by getting 200 milligram tablets of modafinil and using a pill cutter to cut them proportionally according to the dose that I want. Disclaimer, modafinil is a prescription compound, and you should only be taking it if you have a prescription. Lastly, and this is a very powerful stack, so please take notes or take a screenshot and try this stack. One of my other alternative options for the secondary part of the day and giving me that energy, the extra 4 hours to have a total of 8 hours of energy, is the TAU Limitless stack. This is a very, very strong stack that I put together and formulated and learned worked really well probably about 8 years ago. It gives me motivation, it gives me energy, it gives me verbal fluency, it gives me enhanced processing speed. I mean, it just like it gives me basically everything that I need to function really awesomely for that latter part of this 8 hour period. And here is the stack. It is 50 milligrams of triacetyluridine, 500 milligrams of aniracetam, 75 milligrams of CDP choline, 350 milligrams of alcar, 100 milligrams of caffeine, and 300 milligrams of L-theanine. Now, look, you can take that template and try it and see how you fare. Most people are going to respond pretty well to that template. But there may be some people that need to bump the theanine down because it's, it's a high dose. For me, I just really like theanine. It doesn't slow me down or anything. It just balances out stimulation in a way which doesn't negate the stimulating compounds in a stack, but just adds a really nice flow. I'm one of those people that if I get overstimulated, I cannot focus for shit. So theanine is very useful to sort of tone down overstimulation while still giving me the benefits of the stimulatory compounds, but just balance things out so that I can actually focus. This is really important, and that's a critical distinction to make. Otherwise, I think everything else is dosed pretty generally applicable to most folks. And one rule of thumb is that if you can build a stack that most people will respond better to, then the rule of thumb is that's a good stack for you to take. Don't go above it in dosing, don't go below it in dosing. And there are sweet spots or good stacks that are dosed intelligently. And again, if you want to learn about methodology for how to do that and how I think about dosing sustainably in terms of nootropics and building really good stacks, get the Nootropics God course. So that is how I have 8 hours of nootropic energy throughout the course of the day. Now, again, I vary between these stacks. Sometimes it'll be torque on the secondary part of the day, and other times it'll be cortex in the secondary part of the day. Again, sometimes it's modafinil, and sometimes it's the TAU Limitless stack. And then sometimes it's other stacks that I have built that I know predictably will give me that solid 4 hours of additional energy. As I said in the morning, that teacrine, alcar, uridine, citicholine, aniracetam stack, I switch between that and other stacks as well, but that's one of my primary heavy-hitting 4-hour energy-inducing nootropic stacks. Again, remember, I don't want people to overlook this notion of baseline and high testosterone because it's actually everything, right? You will seldom be able to consistently band-aid shitty energy with nootropics, okay? So you're going to have to make sure that even without nootropics, you feel pretty bulletproof. And don't be dogmatic about it. Don't think like you need to eat keto because you saw it on the blogosphere and when you read all this pseudo literature about it or whatever, or that you need to eat exclusively carbs and not fat because fat's bad for you, or that you need to go on a low whatever diet like Like, just like you've got to be practical and not dogmatic. The more there's like a whole cult of people around one particular diet, the less effective it is long term, and usually the less healthy it is. That's what I've learned in 16 years of biohacking. Testosterone, I can't say how important that is enough. I mean, I just can't stress how significant, critical it is for you to make sure that your testosterone is not only high as a guy, but in the right area for you. I've done some content, and you can find it on the channel here, where I took my test to 1250, and it was not good. I had a lot of side effects, not the least of which is complete insomnia. It fucked up my entire sleep schedule, and I also had a great degree of anxiety. Once I got back down to my number, which makes sense for me, and everything fires awesomely and I feel great, which is between 900 950 total test, between 20 and 30, call it, picograms per milliliter of estradiol, I feel perfect. If you're not that granular about your testosterone numbers and your E2 numbers and your free test numbers, you need to be. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Please take heed to what I've done. You can try the stacks that I individually take. You should certainly try the Torque stack, certainly try the Cortex stack. And look, if you have a script from modafinil, totally fine. Again, YouTube needs to understand that I'm saying only use this under the condition of having a script for it. I said in the beginning, a couple products support this broadcast. I mentioned them throughout the video. Number one, the Cortex stack. This is a powerful mental energy, verbal fluency, motivation stack. You can buy it at livecortex.com. Its primary accents are dopamine energy. Dopamine energy is the willingness and the motivation to do things and the really, really great mood to do them in, as well as background energy to be able to do whatever it is you need to do. You can buy Cortex right now. Link is in the description below or at livecortex.com. 8 years on the market tested. People love that stack. Secondarily, the Torque stack. I mean, this is fire since we launched it. Blown up. We've never blown out of inventory so fast. People just really like stable, consistent, all-day energy. That is what the Torque stack delivers, and you can buy Torque at livecortex.com. The stuff is exceptionally strong. It is a high-potency nootropic stack. Lastly, if you'd like to work with me, you want to book a call with me, you want to do a one-on-one program with me, I have all manner of different consulting options. I am a 16-year biohacker that has made so many distinctions, but importantly worked with many, many men to improve energy, cognitive performance, to formulate nootropic stacks, to dial in their testosterone numbers exactly where they need to be, to resolve brain chemistry issues, dopamine issues, other kind of issues, to resolve sexual function problems. All of that sort of fits into my wheelhouse of expertise. You can book a call with me in literally a minute at livecortex.com. And you can even select the time. If you want to talk tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time, you can literally book a call with me right now. You can do that at livecortex.com. Appreciate you guys being with me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. So much more content to come soon. My friends, I'm just getting started. Talk to you later.